G'day guys and girls, today we're talking about the 16 to 55 2.8, the red badge, top of the range, mid-range zoom from Fujifilm. I want to give you my personal opinion on who this is aimed towards, how good it is in photo and video, and is it worth the heavy price tag? All that and more, so stick around and roll that intro. Yo, g'day guys and girls, thank you for joining me. Today we're talking about 16 to 55 2.8 red badge, top of the range from Fujifilm. How good is this thing? We are about to find out. But on this channel I've done plenty of tips, tricks and reviews, saving you time and money. Learn from me, I've done it the hard way. But mainly, we love to get out in this epic world and take landscape photography. So if that interests you, after this, please drop below and subscribe for future content. But a lens, it's 3 times the price, double the size, and it's twice as heavy than the 18 to 55. Why would I go out and purchase this lens when I've already got the 18 to 55? It doesn't make any sense. I've done a complete review about that lens last week, which you can watch up here. The photo, the video, the build quality, everything that you need to know as the basics. So why? It's got 2.8 for the whole focal range, an extra 2mm. Why would you go and purchase this lens? That's what we're about to find out. So the build quality, I want to talk about the build quality first because you don't know the build quality or how something works until you hold it in your hand. Yes, it's twice the weight, but it feels about 4 times as good than the 18 to 55. The 18 to 55 feels plasticky. This is such good build quality. It's the red badge, build quality from Japan. You expect nothing less. The zoom range feels so good in hand. The focusing, well, if you want to pull focus in video, this is so smooth compared to the 18 to 55. And the aperture ring, just that click, you can tell from the click that it is worth the money. So would you pay 3 times the amount from the 18 to 55? That is 100% up to you. But the build quality first is second to none. So why did I purchase this lens? That's what I want to get onto now. It's the photography side of things. I was always chasing image quality with the 18 to 55. Throughout the focal range, it always lacked something. So I went top of the range. If someone's stupid enough to sell this secondhand for so cheap, take my money, it's your fault, not mine. I can sell this for more than I paid for it. But is it worth it? That is what we're about to find out today. Is it worth the extra price range in the photography side of things? So the 2.8 constant throughout 16 to 55 is something that I want. As I release this vlog, I'm in Italy doing a client-based thing. The 16 to 55 with a 2.8 is the perfect focal range for the travel style that travel people, travel industry want. You've got 16, 24mm, it's beautiful, but the main thing is I can zoom out to 55mm and keep that 2.8 aperture, allowing me to stick it on the front of the X-T3 and walk around all day and know I've got the focal range and aperture covered all day and all night. But let's stop talking about it and go over to the river and find out how sharp this thing is and is it worth 3 times the price compared to the 18 to 55. Let's go. Okie dokie guys, we've come down to the river to take some images, beautiful emerald water, and we've got some foliage because I really want to check in the top left and top right hand corners how sharp this thing is, all the way from 2.8, F9 and F22, wide open, mid-range and fully closed. So that is what I'm trying to do. Then I'm going to shoot those same apertures with different focal ranges. So 16mm at 2.8, F9 and F22, 35mm, F2.8 and so on and so on. Then we're going to compare all the images at F9 because that is the sharpest this lens is that I've tested. So basically what this is going to do is find out if it's weak at 2.8, if it's really sharp at 2.8, at F22, if it gets diffraction and all this sort of stuff. It's a great way to compare the lens at different focal ranges. So you know when you head out, if 2.8 is really soft, you can just bump it up to say 3.5 or whatever it may be to compensate for that. That's what we're about to do now. So I'm going to shut up, take this beautiful image of the river get the foliage in at different focal ranges and apertures and focus this. So here we go. Alrighty, so there is all the images done, and I must say this is something you don't appreciate until you get out in the field and do this. Just changing the zoom and the aperture, it is so goddamn smooth. Is it worth the €900 price tag? We're about to find out, especially in the photography side of things. We're gonna jump over to Johnny Boy now, my twin brother I hired to do the in-laptop analysis of how good this lens is. So Johnny Boy, take it away. Cheers for that, Matty Boy. Thank you very much. I am super pumped to review this lens. The Red Badge, top of the range, 16 to 55, 2.8 constant. €1,000. Is this going to live up to its price tag? Now, I'm going to do 16mm, 35mm, and 55mm as Matt just explained. But John, me, is going to do analysis of center, top left at 16mm, at f2.8, at f9, and at f22, capturing the image. That's what we're going to look at right now in a comparison view. Same, f2.8, f9, and f22 at 16, 35, and 55mm. At the end of that, we're going to do 16, 55, 35mm at f9, the sharpest of this lens. So right now we're going to jump into the 16mm at center at the different apertures. Now straight away I can see 2.8 is actually pretty sharp. I'm not going to lie, I'm actually quite happy with 2.8 at 16mm. Then you jump across to the f22, you can see I've tried to keep everything as constant as possible, but just changing the aperture. So ISO is locked down, and then I've just gone to automatic shutter speed to adjust for the f22. So I might have to forgive the f22 a bit here because of the motion blur in the trees. It tells me there might be motion blur in the trees also. But when I was out there, I had no problem with wind. So, you know, it's a 50-50 sit on the fence, but I want to focus on this middle tree here, the one I'm circling to now. That at f9 compared to f2.8 is so much different. Now, 2.8 and f9, obviously getting bigger depth of field at f9, but we're shooting at 16mm. So 16mm is huge, wide open, giving us a great depth of field compared to 55mm. So 2.8 at 16mm shouldn't be so bad, which it really, really is, and I'm very happy with it. I'd be comfortable to shoot at f2.8 at 16mm. It'd be interesting to see throughout the focal range. But f9, sharpest in the lens, should be it, and it is. Top left, jumping up, this is where I'm super interested because we've got foliage, 2.8, bang, that is razor sharp in the top left-hand corner. Yes, f9 competes with it, but my God, they are super close. I am very, very impressed with 2.8 at 16mm. f22, you know, I'm not sure if it's the motion, but jumping straight to the 35mm, where obviously if you get a zoom range 16 to 55, this 35mm is right in between. So it's acting at basically the best it should be. So 35mm f9 to f11 is the sharpest of this lens. So I expect this to be the sharpest images throughout at 35mm. Now there is a little bit of miss which you can see, but once again 2.8, it is definitely softer than f9, but I'm very impressed with it. f22 once again, you know, it is softer, which I do expect at f22. You're getting huge depth of field at f22, but f9, just to the left-hand side, that foliage in those twigs just there, it is so freaking pin sharp. Jumping up to the top left, whoa, this is different. 2.8 really suffers here. That foliage that I'm pointing to right here, at f9, it is razor sharp. Like wow, that is impressive. f22 is soft. I'd almost say f2.8 and f22 on comparison, but I think it looked so bad because f9 is just razor sharp. 55mm, the end of the focal range, and we can see here once again, f22 is still a lot softer than everything else, and 2.8 really drops away, especially at this foliage here. So you can see the foliage coming out, the twigs, the branches, is razor sharp at f9 all through the focal range. So I'm super interested to compare f9 at different focal ranges. But top left, holy moly, 2.8 drops right away at 2.8, which I totally expected. You know, it's 2.8 right at the end of the focal range where zoom lenses normally get soft, and especially at maximum aperture at 2.8. I have to give it to this lens, it has got 2.8, but that is not sharp. f9 is super sharp once again. f22 is definitely passable, but f2.8 is probably not. So I'd want to pull back a little bit, or jump up to something like F4 if I was shooting the 55mm, which in comparison goes to the 18 to 55. So it'd be really interesting to compare that next week. But this is where it gets juicy. F9 all through at different focal ranges. So this is comparing different focal ranges at the sharpest possible. 16, 35, 55. And I can't really fault anything there. You know, at 16mm, it's definitely not as sharp as the other two, but 16mm, obviously it's wide open, huge depth of field. Very, very, very impressive. 55mm and 35mm, very, very sharp. But let's jump up to the top left. This is what most interesting. And straight away I can tell 35mm is by far the sharpest, 16mm is by far the softest, which I did expect. And 55mm, my God, that is razor sharp. 35mm to 55mm F9, F11 is so goddamn sharp. 16mm, I'd probably want to bump up to something like F10, F11 to get a little bit more depth of field out of such a wide angle lens. But I think as soon as you go to that 18, 20mm, I'd feel much more comfortable at getting it. So basically an overall analysis of what I want to shoot here is landscape photography. Holy moly, this is razor sharp. At the 2.8 aperture, it's very, very good. It's constant at 16 all the way to 55, so I cannot fault that. And surprisingly very, very sharp at 2.8. 55mm does drop away a lot. F22, which I would never shoot at anyway. I'd introduce filters or anything like that if I wanted to shoot F22, or I'd focus that to get rid of that softest in the corners, especially diffraction, all this color fringing sort of stuff. But at 35mm, you know, I would love to get a 35mm prime, 1.4, 2.8, whatever, and compare F2, sorry, and compare it to this, because this is goddamn razor sharp. Is it worth the price tag for photography? 100% yes. Now let's jump back over to Matty Boy and see what he has to say about the videography side, because the photography side gets a huge tick from me. Matty, take it away.
Cheers for that, Johnny Boy. Thank you for doing such a great review once again on the photography side of this lens. But stage 3, the videography side, how good is this with vlogging and doing the video? This is where this lens lacks. Now I said 16mm is much better to me because I vlog. I've always wanted to do the 16mm, because on the 16mm 1.4, which I'm shooting on right now, and when I handheld that, it gives me a great depth of what I can see in the background. But when I hold this, because it's so big, it's front heavy and it cuts the top of my head off. If I do that with a 16mm 1.4, it's so much easier to hold and it's not front heavy. Also, it lacks in-body image stabilizing, which is such a disappointment, because doing walking at 24 frames a second, you're gonna get a lot of movement. Doesn't matter how good the in-body image stabilizer is in the XH1, having the in-body image stabilizer, the optical stabilizer, sorry, in the lens, doubling it up helps so much, especially for that run and gun style that I love. Not always setting up on a bloody gimbal and shooting everything. It'd be great if I ever wanted to do some documentary style, put it on a tripod and do that. But the 18 to 55 does a fantastic job right now for the video side of things. So I'm not overall pleased with this, because I've compensated with a 2.8 in the video side by shooting the 16mm 1.4, so I'm getting a whole stop more of light. Yes, I can shoot at 55mm with a 2.8, but I can't handheld it, so it lacks a bit there. So once again, I'm screaming out for the 16 to 80mm, because I know I have optical image stabilizer built in with the XH1. It is f4, but perfect for the videography side. So right now I've got a lens that's great for video, a lens that's fantastic for photography, but quite disappointing in this for the videography. So is it worth the €600 price gap between the 18 to 55 compared to this? Let's go and talk about it. Right, I might know this looks weird, but it just rained and this smells so goddamn good. But we're here to talk about the 16 to 55 2.8. Is it worth the €1,000 price range?
Let's start with the positives about this camera. The ergonomics, the zoom ring, the focus ring feels so goddamn good. It's weather resistant. That's great. The ergonomics and the feel and the build quality is perfect about this. But what does it do in camera to impress us for €1,000? The photography side of things. This is the red badge, the professional series. As you looked at the photography side, it gets that name. It is so goddamn good. The versatility, the image quality is second to none. I cannot fault that. But why doesn't it really suit my needs? And that's what I want to talk about. I said the 16mm is much better for me because I can vlog, but it's big, it's a heavy lens. If you want to have this lens, you might as well go full frame and get the 2.8 in full frame. It's lighter, it's smaller, yes, but you're almost as big as a full frame lens. It's got no image stabilizer where you buy the Sony 16-55, 24-70. It comes with the image stabilizer. So for me, it's a little bit of a downfall. So the video side, yes, it would be great if you shot documentaries or on a gimbal all the time, but I haven't got time for that in my run and gun style. And the vlog, I just chucked the 16mm 1.4, which I can shoot nighttime videos with as well. The 2.8 16mm just doesn't capture even star photography perfectly or videos for nighttime. So I really have trouble justifying the €1,000 price tag for this. If it's photos you're after, bang, go out and buy it. If you want the best image quality for the best price, this is the best bang for buck. If you want versatility in zoom, definitely your best bang for buck. If you want versatility for overall hybrid shooters, not so much unless you shoot documentary style. For me, I'm still crying out for the 16 to 80mm f4. That is going to replace this lens and the 18-55. That'll be the day I'm a super happy man. Guys, let me know in the comments below, is this on your price list? €1,000 for a lens of this red badge top of the range. Do you own one already and would you not get rid of this? Are you waiting for the 16 to 80mm? That is me done for today on this beautiful lens, but doesn't really suit my needs lens. Guys, everything is a link in the description if you want to know more information about this, my workshops for Norway and here in Slovenia. But guys, that is me done. I'll be seeing you on the next one, comparing this to the 18-55 to hopefully help you find out what you need after all this catastrophe on lenses. I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.